just need to record it.
Yeah.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. This webinar is presented by UniPrint, and it is the reasons why UniPrint has upgraded their software to the new version of UniPrint Infinity. When we sent out the invitations, this was predominantly aimed at users with older versions of the UniPrint software, i.e. Suite 7 and below. And therefore, this presentation is really about the differences between the softwares that we're going to be offering. The recording, we will be recording this today, and just as an element of housekeeping, we've put everybody onto a silent mode. However, on the right-hand side, depending on where you have the bar, there is a question box that can be brought forward from yourselves, and there you can actually ask questions. We'd love some interaction questions as we're going through, but there is a section at the end where we will try and answer the questions that are raised during the presentation. What we've done today is the agenda is split into why we changed the software from a very successful suite of software, how we changed it, and the benefits that you'll see from that point onwards. So those are sort of the three reasons. And how we're going to split this is that there's myself, Keith Joseph, and Chris Hathway, both on this call. And what will happen is I will try and do the commercial side of it and the reasonings behind why we made these changes, and Chris will then sort of demonstrate the changes we've made and hopefully show you the benefits that they will bring organisations within that are looking to use the product. If you're looking for more detail, we can actually attend that after this webinar, and we can do that on a one-to-one basis, or if there's time, we will try and do it during this webinar. So the real sort of question is from everybody's, why did we change? Well, the interesting thing is that software, as you know, changes from a day-to-day. I mean, you look at any of the big publishing houses, including ourselves, it's because the world of business changes and the needs of business change within organisations. This could be that companies are looking for cost savings, and as we know, printing can be quite a burden on a business. The interesting thing is that what we discover is cost savings are not fully appreciated within organisations that are printing documentation. And the reason being is that most companies will only look at the cost of the printer themselves. The toners sometimes come under a different part of the budgets, but also it's the technical cost to the business, and it's the draw on the help desk that we discovered is quite often the biggest cost burden to any organisation. And we're going to show you how we can potentially save money on that sort of side. The world's changing as well because of the rise of the mobile user. If you looked at the way we operated 10 years ago, we predominantly went to an office, or we worked from a mobile phone, and we had maybe a laptop and maybe a small PDA from Palm or something of that sort of nature, but they were very small. Today, though, with the rise of iPad, Android, iOS devices, and the proliferation of laptops amongst many users, the rise of the mobile user, plus the emphasis for working from home, and all this creates difficulties when it comes to printing within organisations, and it's how you get around that. We're also now seeing the drive towards VDI, and that actually brings a whole new set of challenges on top of that. On top of this, you now have bring your own device. As we're seeing more and more people wishing to come to IT departments and say, oh, I don't like my standard corporate laptop, or I'd like to use this. There's cases in point of some companies, and I had a conversation with a guy from a very, very large brewer that worldwide that made a management meeting and the directors meeting, and basically said, we are not going to implement any iOS devices within the organization. It was agreed at the board meeting, the security and everything was set for that business. Christmas comes and goes, the managing director walks in with his brand new iPad his wife had given him, and basically he says, we're changing everything, we're now going to have iPads. So there was a whole step change in the company for 35,000 employees about bring your own device. And that's a whole set of challenges, especially when you're dealing with some of the more complicated ones, and especially when you bring Android and things this sort of into the mix. Oops. There's also an element of we need better security, and the reason is that we've spent a lot of time within organisations closing down loopholes around email, around USB ports. We've put sniffers in, we've done this and the other. The interesting thing is that, and I will sort of show you this, is that security, people still print stuff, and people will still use it as an opportunity to walk data out of a building, and we'll try and sort of highlight how A, that can affect your business, but B, how we can help you through the new Infinity products close this loophole in your security portfolio. We've also seen a proliferation of cloud. If you actually, I use cloud in probably a quoted comment marker, but cloud's an interesting one in relation is as we go to third platform. So this is on-premise, off-premise, the rise of the data center, moving everything into the data center. And UniPrint were very cognizant of this move by companies, and therefore Infinity is a lot more orientated towards the cloud environment within the data center type environment. Again, we'll show you how that can go through. And there's also an element of seen to be more environmentally friendly. Companies have carbon quotas, companies have waste quotas, companies have this, especially large organisations, councils and this sort of nature. There's legislation that they have to follow, and again, it's how you manage your printing and how you manage your print solution impacts how you are affecting your environmental ratings within your organisation. And there's various other challenges that organisations, I don't want to sort of spend hours going on to in relation to these sort of things. So if we sort of just go back to the whole premise is that UniPrint is about printing. As you can see, there's all these challenges that UniPrint are trying to address, but there's a simple question that really comes back to why don't we print less? And the interesting thing is that we've been talking about that for a long time. And the strange thing is that within the developed world, we're actually printing more. This is a graph done by The Economist. It's a couple of years old now, but it shows that in the developed world, we are using the equivalent of, in the UK, we are using the equivalent of 4 1/4 trees that are 40 foot tall and 6 to 8 inches wide, and will give an approximate amount of paper of about 40 kilos. And that is actually going up year by year as we do more within IT, and we try to become less paper orientated. We're actually using more paper to do it. There's also some organisations that need to have paper and need to be printing. Again, you look at local authorities, you look at surveyors, and within the IT community, we desperately try to be paperless, but within the wider world, there's still a need. I mean, if you look at a doctor, your prescription is still printed. If you go to the council and you do a set of drawings to do an extension, like I'm currently doing at the moment, I've got so many letters and so many bits of paper because that's the rules they have to adhere to. That's what has to happen. And all that printing has to be managed. All that printing has a cost. So the question is, why don't we print less? Well, in a lot of cases we can't, because as we try to control and we try to move things forward, it can't do that. Behind that, though, is that there's actually some economics behind the whole thing. And, oh, hello, mouse has got a mind of its own at the moment. The average office worker, believe it or not, if you look at the studies, prints about 10,000 sheets a year. That's on average about 45,000 sheets per day. The strange thing is that, come on, thank you, each office worker actually wastes 2/3 of that. And how they waste 2/3 of that, if you look at the breakdown, is the number of sheets they print single-sided. They're printing stuff off the screen instead of reading it on the screen. For proofreading, they're printing stuff and leaving it on the printer. They're printing the wrong document. They're printing unnecessary copies. We've all done it. If you actually look at the way you print as an individual, you sit there and you go to yourself, wow. I mean, sometimes when I'm doing presentation, I'll print the presentation off, read it, scratch it all through, and then put it in the waste bin. And as an individual, even I'm terrible for doing it. And it doesn't make sense to do that. So when we were looking at the UniPrint Infinity products, we were looking at how we could be more efficient in the way that we did that. So the other thing that we sort of really need to cover off quite heavily is security and reporting. Now, if any of you are fans of Formula One, you might actually realise who this gentleman is. This gentleman is a guy called Nigel Stepney. Nigel Stepney was the chief architect for Ferrari in the early to mid noughties, and was dominant of the fact that he led the team that allowed Michael Schumacher to win 4 World Championships and Ferrari to win 6 Constructors' Championships. However, he became happy and wanted to move to McLaren. And he is famous because he was caught with a 780-page document that he'd given to the chief designer at McLaren. Now, this led to the 2008 McLaren that Lewis Hamilton won the World Championship and took away from Ferrari. The interesting thing is that you would think that he would be not allowed to do that, but the strange thing is all he did is he printed it and walked out the front gate with it. This led to a $50 million fine for McLaren for using the information. It led for him being sacked from Formula One, but more importantly, it was a breach that Ferrari were unaware of. It was actually a printer in Woking that was printing the document for Nigel Stepney's wife that actually alerted Ferrari that that the documents had been stolen. And therefore, it shows that security breaches, it doesn't matter how much you close things down, you've always got a loophole that you need to, and that is the fact that even in this virtual world, we still need physical documents. Those physical documents still can be moved. And as individuals and companies, we need to be cognizant of who's printing what, where, when, and how, and we need to have that. So within the UniPrint products, the Infinity product, we've beefed up the security, but we've also implemented the reporting, so you can actually show who, where, when, and how. And again, we're going to show you how that happens. But if you actually take this down to very, very simple situations, printing is challenging. There are printer challenges, and they're more for the everyday type environment. And especially when it comes to mobile users, the users themselves may have the opportunity to move between offices, branch offices, head office. They might be in the same geo, they might be in the same country, they might be in the same campus. But likewise, there could be the user and the printer may be only a few minutes apart, a few meters apart, but the user sessions and the printers may be thousands of miles away. They may be hundreds of miles away, they may be a few miles away. But these are the challenges that we face. And what this ends up doing is that we end up with issues of bandwidth, because if you imagine that if you have multiple mobile users that are shoving printer jobs up and down your lines, there's going to be contentions issues, there's going to be bandwidth and capability issues. There's going to be speed issues, and again we've covered this within the Infinity product, so we're going to show you how we can speed things up and make things easier. We're going to show you how the printer management is a lot more simplified, and printer management, believe it or not, is a two-way street. It's not only with the data center and the IT department, it's also with the user. Printer management is all about a same look and feel no matter where you are, no matter what printer you're using. And that's very important to use, because people are very quick to pick the phone up to IT departments if something is different, if there is something that they don't understand. However, with the print management that we offer, it is a very, very seamless, simple look and feel for the user, that once they understand how to use it, it is the same no matter where they are, no matter what printer they are using. That makes life very, very simple. We've also increased the support for makes and models of printers, and we've also added a lot more functionality for VDI. We're seeing the rise of VDI within the world, becoming quite predominant now, especially for local authorities, governments, but also within larger corporations that are looking to control their infrastructure a lot more closely. And you're seeing that with a lot more Citrix Zen and VMware View implementations that are coming through. So, just to sort of give you, as we said, this webinar is predominantly aimed at people that already have our earlier products. So really what we're going to try and do is show how we've addressed the problems that and issues that I've shown above, but also how we've changed and we've tried to simplify the process for everybody. So I've used the example of Suite 7, and as most of you will know, within Suite 7 there were multiple different variances of the software that were available for licensing: server, terminal, server, gateway, etc. And then they were split according to whether they were x86 and x64 architectures. The interesting thing is this just leads that there's so many iterations in relation to ways that you can license it. It actually became unwieldy from an end user perspective. It actually became difficult from a UniPrint point of view as well. And we were looking at the way to simplify that. And how do we simplify it? Well, with UniPrint Infinity, there is just UniPrint Infinity. What we've done is we've rolled all of the server, all the additions together, and we've given that functionality into one, and that's really just aimed at simplifying the whole thing. It simplifies the licensing, it simplifies everything. But whilst we were also simplifying it and making it a lot more effective, we've also changed and enhanced the product. Again, this is about picking up stuff that that I sort of covered earlier on. So within Suite 7, we actually saw a number of enhancements that happened from previous versions, with the introduction of PrintPal, the introduction of printer profiles. We centralized the licensing. We started the beginnings of secure prints, and we had support for multiple operating systems on the server level, so that's 2003, 2008. Within UniPrint Infinity, though, we've actually expanded this, and going back again to what we covered previously, we've actually increased a lot of the functionality that's available within it. So we've enhanced PrintPal. We've actually made it a lot more user-friendly. It's a lot more intuitive to use. We've enhanced printer profiles, and again, we're going to show you this on the next few slides. We've enhanced the security, and we've added some phenomenal new functionality in pull and follow me printing, and that really enhances the security within it. We've added support, reporting and archiving as well, and it's quite important that we sort of cover the archiving bit, because if you do have sensitive information, as we saw from the Nigel Stepney thing, we have a mechanism for actually showing what we've done. We've added print string compression. Now, everybody thinks, oh, I can cover that with other bits and pieces. The end of the day is that as we get more and more mobile users within the marketplace, and more people wanting to do this and the other, it's becoming more important, and the compression is quite an important tool that will help you, because it means that you're not having to go back to BT or any of the network providers and trying to get bigger and bigger pipes between your branch offices or between your buildings. We've also implemented high availability within the business, because we're aiming this at the cloud, or cloud providers, or third platform. By moving stuff into the data center, we needed to make it robust and resilient. And likewise, with the change of the simplification of the number of different types of licenses that we've offered, we've also changed the way we license the individual. So predominantly, historically, it used to be server-based. We've actually removed that. Now we've gone to a concurrent user model. And when we mean concurrent users, it is people that are using the system at that time. So if you have an organization split around the world where, for example, you have 10,000 users but only 2,000 are active at any one time, you will only really have to purchase licensings for the 2,000. So you will actually see an increase or reduction in cost because of the thing. And you can also then charge that back as individuals and utilize it that way. We're also implementing Apple AirPrint, and again, this is the drive for bring your own device and a lot more a lot more mobile users. It allows companies that historically within their corporate organization they will bring in an iPad as an example and can't print because you can't hook it up to the network, and it becomes a problem. But we're actually emulating AirPrint now, so you can actually broadcast it out. What this also means, though, is the fact that you can now look at giving the opportunity for your visitors within your organization to have a mechanism for printing if you so choose to do so. But again, that it's the choices that you make as an organization. And we've also increased the operating system support as well. So we're still supporting 2008 onwards, but we've also now added 2012 and 2012 R2. and again, we'll be constantly doing this, and it's really driven by the fact that the world is heading more towards a 64-bit architecture as opposed to the old x86 architecture. So, if we still start going, sort of driving down into more of the challenges and the basic challenges. So, the simple thing that we're going to cover in this sort of the next section here is we have too many printer queues, we don't know where to print, and we don't know what we're doing, and it's all very, very complicated, and everybody's phoning everybody up to try and sort this out. So one of the reasons for PrintPal, we're also going to look at how we actually bring other devices and manage other devices into the corporate environment. And we're also going to look at, I have these great big MFP printers and I don't want to lose the functionality. So this is really the enhancement to the PrintPal and the printer profiling that we're going to cover in the next section. So on that note, if I can hand over to Chris, he will now take you from there.
Okay, thank you, Keith. Okay, so we're going to take a look at some of the features included in UniPrint Infinity, and we're going to start with PrintPal. PrintPal was a feature that was already in Suite 7, and I think was first introduced with UniPrint version 6. So our history with PrintPal goes back a little while. The key thing with Infinity is it was rebuilt from the ground up, recompiled to be faster, more efficient, and add extra functionality to both the server side and the client side component. So for those of you who are not familiar with PrintPal, a quick overview is that PrintPal is a system that allows administrators to automatically assign printers to users based on criteria such as the AD user, groups, OU membership, the IP address of the client machine they're connected to, or even the device host name. And using these rules alone or in combination can allow administrators to be quite granular about how printers are assigned to specific users. Of course, the upshot of this is that using the PrintPal tool, you can ensure that printers are always assigned to users for their correct locations. So when a user moves from office to office, or even different locations within an office, different floors, and they log on to terminals, and they get Citrix sessions, etc., they get the right printers for that location. And this will drive down help desk calls, and is one of the largest number of calls come from users trying to connect to printers. So just to show you, I'm just going to change my screen so I can show you the PrintPal interface. And here we have the PrintPal server. And we can see that PrintPal is now fully integrated into the console. Over here we can create groups, and these are created in any way your organization sees fit. So here we've got a geographic-based structure. So we've got some countries, for example, we've got UK here, and then we can drill down to a specific location. And inside this location we can create rules. So I have a rule here for a device named VDI1, and whenever anyone logs on to this specific device, I'm requesting that these two printers are assigned to that session. So if a user logs on to a session on VDI1, these two printers will be assigned to them automatically. Now PrintPal is AD integrated to speed up deployment. So you can see here I've got access to my domain, and here I can do LDAP queries to find objects in the domain. So maybe for the LA main office, I want to create a rule for a specific user, and when JK logs in, I would like to assign them these two printers. I can pull those over. And from here I can even set which one's going to be default. So you can see it's a very simple process, very intuitive to use, very easy to build up the rules. And a lot of enhancements have been made in UniPrint Infinity to provide just extra functionality but stability for this system as well. It can be, as it's an enterprise level product, the key thing is for stability, to make sure that this is always running, always assigning the right printers and never letting you down. On the client side, if I just change back over, I'm just going to log into a Citrix session. Okay, and we'll just start a publish desktop. Let's just take a second for this to log in. Okay. Let's see, we've been given a server desktop now, and in a moment the UniPrint agent will start to run. And part of this agent is to run UniPrint. This was an enhancement in UniPrint Infinity. PrintPal and the UniPrint agent are not separate anymore. They're combined into one process, and this just makes it more efficient. We can see it's started running down here. If we take a look at the printers that are assigned, and so view devices and printers, we can see that we've been assigned some printers. These were assigned from the UniPrint PrintPal server via the server console. If a user, so a user may be happy with these printers, or they may decide that actually these printers are not ideal for them, and they can manage them from PrintPal directly. From here I can do an add printer, and I could choose maybe this printer is better suited to me. Maybe just for today, so I don't always want to add it, or maybe I always want this printer and I want it from any machine. So this printer will always follow me around now. I can OK that. And the request is sent out and the printer is added. And that's straight away available for me to use. So even though the basic premise of PrintPal hasn't changed from Suite 7 to Infinity, there's a lot of changes under the hood on how the actual process runs. And the next feature I just want to dive into is the printer profiler. Again, this was a feature that was available in UniPrint Suite 7. It was an additional utility, ran separate to consoles. But in Infinity, we've now integrated it into the main product, and I think it's undergone probably the biggest change in its functionality, and has now become a very key feature in our product. So for those of you who are not familiar with the printer profiler, it's a utility that allows us to capture advanced functionality of printers and bring it into our universal driver. So an example of that, our universal driver can cater for all of the standard features of printing, so duplexing, collation, paper trays, color settings, things like that. However, the advanced features of printers, such as stapling, hole punching, stacking, stapling, things like that, have advanced features. They're unique to each vendor, and we can't put that functionality out of the box into our driver. The profiler allows us to capture that information and allows us to use those features. So I'm just going to shift over again to my demo. Okay, print on the print server as they interact directly with the drivers, and you can see now it's been brought directly into the console. And in here we have a list of all of the native vendor drivers that are installed on this print server. To create a profile, we simply select the driver and choose a new profile. Choose to give it a name such as Staples. Staples 2 as we already have one, and I can give it a description as well. Staple document. Okay. I then go to the settings tab, and in here I can open up the property sheet of this driver. And this is where I make my selection about what advanced functionality I want to capture. So, for example, if I look in the output, we see we have the option for stapling, and here I can choose to staple document. So when I OK this, the information the driver gave us about how it does stapling is saved into this profile. And now this profile is available to any printer that uses this driver. So again, I'll go back to the user session, and in here I have a UniPrint printer which is linked to the print server side. So in here now, if I open up Word, open up a document, File, Print, and here I'll select this printer. In the property sheet, as I said, we've got all the standard features built in, but we've also got this additional tab for print handling, and it's in here that we can see the staples, the profile specific to this printer. So here we can see the newly created staples one with its description, and I can select this, and when I print, the document will be sent over with a link to that profile, and the document will get stapled using the command specific for that printer. So this allows us not to lose any of the advanced functionality of printers, which is a big issue when you do move to a universal driver. Okay, Keith, I'll just pass back over to you.
Thank you very much. As I alluded to earlier, the other biggest sort of challenge was not only managing printers, but it was also managing users. But as you're managing users, you open up more challenges in relation to security issues. I alluded to this with quite an extreme case at the opening of this webinar. But in a lot of companies, it's about confidentiality of documentation. When you move over to managed print services, you have a tendency that you're moving away from individual printers and you're moving to print stations and you're moving to print groups. So you're bringing all the printers together, and with that sort of opens up other security challenges within the business. Now this could be that the document's gone when you get there because somebody's picked it up as part of a pile of paper. You've accidentally sent it to the wrong printer. Somebody sat there, the document's come out, they've read it before it goes off. The printer is sent to an offline printer. You know, there's so many security challenges that and then when the printer comes back online, it then prints out, but you may have left the office. So when we were looking at the Infinity product, we'd already had, as I said, alluded to before, we'd added some security within it. But as we move the product more and more towards total virtualized print management within an organization, you need to add more functionality. And there's also a call from customers of ours that they're looking for basically more bang for their buck. Now, the idea is that everybody says, oh, this has been available for a long time, I've got it on my printer that I can do this, that and the other. The issue that you have with that is that they're very, very specific to those printers, and therefore you're tied into the print management of that particular printer type. And even within different manufacturers, different printer types have different managements of way of doing it. So UniPrint Infinity is a very, very standardized look and feel again for the security of your organization, but giving you the flexibility to mix and match the printers that you can purchase. So you could reutilize older printers, you could reutilize different manufacturers, you can and giving you the choice. What it allows you to do is actually bring the right printer for the right job into the right area. And that may be that different countries, if you're running a multi-country organization, get better deals from vendor A than they do from vendor B. And the UniPrint Infinity product will allow them to have that flexibility, but also address the security challenges that come with that. So what Chris is going to do now, he's actually now going to show you some of the enhanced security features that come with Infinity.
Okay, thank you, Keith. Okay, so the most predominant feature we're going to look at is the secure pole printing, and this was introduced. There was an aspect of it in Suite 7 that was specific to HP printers, but it was very limited. And on the success of that, we really wanted to build a more a better system, a more robust system for providing security and pole printing functionality to the product. So the secure pole print system allows a user to print jobs to a generic queue, to a virtual print queue, and those jobs are not sent directly to any printer. They are instead sent to a holding server, so there's no destination to these jobs to start with. Benefit of this is the user only needs one print queue, and that one print queue is across your entire organization. Everything the users print is sent up to a holding server, and it's held there and stored. When the users are ready to collect their print jobs, they go to a release terminal, which we call a VPAD, and you can see a little icon of it over here. I think we have a larger image of it in another slide. And this device is basically a touch screen which is connected to the network. It's also got a built-in RFID reader, so we can do two-factor authentication, so the users can use their building access ID cards or any other RFID cards to identify themselves at these terminals, and then they can query the holding server for what jobs they've got waiting. From there, they can select the jobs they want, and they can release them. At that point, the jobs are tagged with a destination printer. The VPAD gives you a list of printers you can release to, and the jobs are sent over. If additional security is required, we can also implement a PIN code structure as well. So when you've identified yourself and you've selected the jobs you want to release, the additional security of requiring a PIN code is required. So I'm going to shift over to the lab. Actually, I'm just going to, if I just come in here, we're actually going to go back to our client, because I'm going to show you how the users send their jobs to the VPQ. It's very simple. We file and print, and in the printer list here we can see we've got this queue, the UniPrint virtual print queue. I can send jobs directly to this, or additionally I could go into the properties and select that I want security on a job. So maybe I work for the HR department and I've got some really sensitive material I want to make sure only I can collect. So I put a PIN code in there and print. So these jobs are now being sent off to the holding server where they're being stored, and a user now has to go to a printing station where there'll be a VPAD device located. For the demo purposes, I have the VPAD as a, let me just move my screen over, as an emulator. So this is the actual software, if you can see this here. This is the actual software that runs on the VPAD device as an emulator, and this is available to you for testing, proof of concept, things like that. So in here now, the user, if they have an RFID card, they can tap it against the machine and it will identify them straight away. I don't have one attached to the emulator, so I have to do it manually. And here we can see my user. I can see the two jobs we sent, the padlock indicating the one that's secure, the other one that's not. So when I click this job here, I can choose to print. And now I see a list of printers that I can release this print job to. Each VPAD sees a different list of printers. So it's not one VPAD per printer, it's one VPAD can cater for multiple printers. So I may choose here that I want to release the job to this HP and print. The job's released. It's now sent over to a print server for processing, dropped into the queue, and then eventually out to the printer. The other job we sent had security on it, so if I tried to release this one, you see I'm prompted for my security to release it. Okay, and now the process is the same for this one as well. Also, you can see we've got the addition of the profiles, so we can see our staple profiles here, so we don't lose any functionality of the printers by moving over to this system. Okay, so let's move back here. Okay, so just to take a closer look at the VPad itself, there's a better image of it here. And like I said, there's integrated security, so we got the RFID reader built into it, and there's touchscreen for PIN entry and user authentication. There's also a lockdown mode if you've got one of these in a public area where you want to make sure only authenticated users can use it. Then there's that lockdown mode. The device itself is a network device. This doesn't connect to a printer. It doesn't have any drivers on it. It's not different models for different printers. This will work with any make and model. It follows the UniPrint methodology of being as device agnostic as possible. So this will work just as well with a HP, as a Canon, as a Xerox, with a little inkjet, with anything. It doesn't matter. It provides the intelligence to that printer. So the driving force behind the secure print system, the big idea behind it is two factors. Eliminate waste. Obviously only print jobs which are collected are ever printed. So if users are sending jobs all morning and then they only decide out of 10 jobs they sent, they only really want 2 of them by the time they go to collect them, they can leave the remaining jobs on there and they'll just expire once a set timeout has been reached. So the waste element is there. And of course, as we've been talking about the security aspect, now there's no chance of print jobs going to the wrong printers, being left on the printer, users being able to see other users' jobs, being able to collect other people's jobs. So this system wraps the security and the waste elements up into one system. Okay, so just to, as we're talking about the differences between Suite 7 and Infinity, I just want to also quickly run through the setup configuration and show you, highlight to you one of the big key differences we've introduced with Infinity. As many of you will be aware from Suite 7, there's gateway configuration. So in the gateway configuration, we use thin clients, zero clients, things like that, somewhere where we can't install any software. And these just host a VDI session, Citrix XenApp, XenDesktop, VMware View, some sort of remote server application. And these run on an application server. In this environment, we install our universal print driver, which of course gives us the stability, removes the requirement for vendor drivers in the server. And when users print in this environment, the jobs are routed from the application server through our central print server and then typically across WAN links back to remote site print servers. And this will optimize the data transfer across a WAN link and of course gives you stability in your server environment. So this setup was available in Suite 7, and a lot of people will be using this. But I think the key thing is the way it works hasn't changed, but all the underlying components have been significantly upgraded. The drivers that are used, the processors which are used, the rendering engines, the Adobe engine we use on our print server is the latest version. Suite 7, actually, we stopped developing in 2011. So if you think of all the changes which have happened, especially to Adobe since then, and they're all integrated into Infinity, whereas Suite 7 has sort of been left behind. The other setup, which is common, is server-to-client setup. So this is perfect for your MSPs or home users, things like that, where they connect from a laptop or desktop machine into your data center to launch apps, things like that. When they want to print just directly from that server session back to their client machine. So we have a server setup here with VDIs, terminal servers, things like that, where the users are working, and when they want to print, they want to send the job from that server environment back to their client machines. So it's a very easy setup. This hasn't changed a lot since Suite 7, but the biggest introduction, I think, is the PC over IP support. So if you are in a VMware View environment and you're using native PC over IP for your virtual channel connection, we can now utilize that for sending print jobs back from server to client. And of course, that's a big plus if you are in that environment. Of course, as we just were discussing, the same applies. Many updates to the underlying components, the drivers, the engines, and the processors. Again, you're getting a more streamlined experience. The client piece has also been redeveloped, and we're now at client 5.2 to make it a much easier installation, more robust, more reliable component. So the big change to configurations for Infinity is the introduction of print stream compression. So this is a way we can optimize printing when you've got all of your server components in a data center. So in Suite 7, our advice was that your print server should always be over on the remote site part of your environment, because we compress the data as a PDF to that print server, which means here in this setup in Suite 7, you compress the job in the data center to the print server, then you spool the job. It gets significantly bigger. The data output from the spooler can be huge, and then you send this mass of data across your WAN link to the remote site. And this just caused problems with bandwidth. Even if you have quite a lot of bandwidth, this is going to really swallow it up. So we were listening to our customers and how they wanted to consolidate the hardware. No one wants a remote site with a print server. It needs to be maintained. If it goes down, you need to send an engineer out. They wanted to bring the print servers into the data center. So we introduced a new feature called print stream compression. And print stream compression utilizes the VPAD device as a remote site print appliance. So what happens is the user prints from the application server. The job is sent as a PDF over to the print server. The print server then processes the job, spools it, but then a UniPrint component, a port called the transport port, compresses the spooler output, and we can get about 85% compression on that data that comes out of the spooler. That data is then sent, compressed, across your intersite links to the remote site, where it reaches a VPAD print appliance, and that data is then decompressed and then into a format the printer can understand again and can be routed off to a printer. Now, the advantages of this setup are obviously your server hardware can be consolidated into the data center, but also you only need one of these VPADs to handle even a modestly sized site. So one VPAD can handle the printing for, say, a site maybe up to 50 users or something. And of course, if you need more users, you can just add more VPADs. So this is not a one per printer system. This can be one VPAD for multiple printers. The other thing as well is that the VPAD can continue to be used for follow me printing. So you can put both of these systems into one environment where you're getting the compression benefits across your site links, but you're also getting the follow me printing and security system as well. as an overview, and this slide, and I think as Keith said in the beginning, we'll be giving you a copy of all this so you'll be able to see it. You can mix all these configurations together to give you the best or optimized settings for your individual sites or setups. So we've got obviously a server client on the green one, a gateway configuration where we've got hardware and a remote site for the blue line, and on the red line we've got the print server up in the data center, and we're going to use that, and we're going to use print stream compression in this setup here. So some of the aspects have remained the same from Suite 7 to Infinity, some configurations, but a lot of changes under the hood to the underlying the engines and everything, and obviously the addition of print stream compression. So I'll pass back to Keith now to take a look at the recording.
Thank you. So thanks for that, Chris. So that's more the actual how do I print and how do I follow me around, how do I understand the challenges that are in the business. The other side that I alluded to right at the start was the challenge of actually how do I know what I'm printing and how much this is costing me. So one of the elements that we've added to Infinity was the ability to report on what people are printing. Therefore, by doing this, you can see what people are printing, making sure that they're not taking the right thing away, taking documentation out of the building, and if they are, actually knowing what the documentation that they are taking out of the building is. And again, I allude back to the Ferrari incident. You can also look for the misuse of printers. We've all heard about it where people have gone on holiday, come back, and the first thing they've done is they've printed off 50 photographs in the office because they think they can do that. What they don't realise is that that could be costing the company 20, 30p a copy if they're doing 50, 60 photos, if not more. There's a huge amount of cost. So the reporting actually can show misusing of the printers. But more importantly, it's actually most companies don't understand how much their printing is costing because they don't understand how many or how much printing is actually being undertaken in the organization. So when we did Infinity, it was quite a key driver from companies to say, look, you know, we've gone to VDI, we've cut down the amount of desktops, we've cut down the amount of this, we've cut down, but we actually still have this big hole in our budget, and we don't know what we're printing, we don't know where we're printing, we don't know who's printing what, where, when, and how. So one of the biggest things that we've done is, as you see, is we're going to show you where we've actually added the ability to report as well as what other people can't do is we can actually archive. And this is what Chris is sort of going to quickly run through about how the reporting and archiving section works. So, Chris?
Yeah, thank you, Keith. So, just to cover that off, in Infinity we've added we built in the archiving and the reporting engines. So these engines are part of the product, not additional components. And you just need to enable them if you want to do these features. So we've got, obviously we can use this information for better understanding where printers are being used, what the utilization is on those printers. The information can also be used for chargebacks, so you can tie this into a invoicing engine which could generate an invoice for, say, a university charging per print, something like that. Also, as Keith just mentioned, the security aspect of it. So printing, unlike email, is traditionally not tracked. So you would think twice before sending an email because you would know that a copy would be kept. You wouldn't email something confidential to your personal account. But to print, you can pretty much print anything you want. Comes out on paper, fold it up, put it in your pocket, and take it out of the building. So this is another security level to the printing system, to bring it up to date with current security requirements. We're one of the few companies that can actually allow archiving because of our native PDF file format. We've already got PDF compressed print jobs, and these are then can be stored without a huge cost to storage on your systems, and of course the associated costs with that. Also being PDF and following the strict PDF format, these documents can be processed and sniffed and searched by a third-party software. So I'm just going to shift over to the lab just so I can show you the archiving component. And by default they're installed onto the bridge server, although we can shift them off if you have quite a large amount of archiving going on. So the first thing to show you is the database. Now we provide the basic SQL database, and we find that in most situations this is what our customers want. They don't need a fancy report, they just need the raw data that they can plug into and use Excel or a third-party reporting software, Crystal Reports, to get at this information and generate their own reports. So this is the data we provide. I think if I just run the query again, we should be able to see. I just need to run it from here. A sec. Yeah, we can see some raw data. So here we can see some of the jobs we've been sending today. We can see the document names, who sent them, what domain they were coming from, some data for the UniPrint system about what the jobs were called, where did they come from, where did they go, where was the destination, and across here we can even see settings like was color used, was duplex used, were profiles attached, and things like that. You can see here we have the staple profile, and of course the times and dates. So this information gives you a powerful base to run pretty much any report you want about what's going on in your environment in regards to the printing. The other aspect of it, of course, is the archiving, and in here we can go to the UniPrint archive, and if I just drill down into a specific user, I can see I've got a user here for JK, who's the one we've been using today. And if I set by modified, we can see some of the jobs we've been sending. So here we have a PDF file, which is the format we use. You can see here I've got an actual soft copy of the printed jobs, and this can now be used in any way you see fit, maybe into a document management system for long-term archiving, or maybe for a nightly process for sniffing, or possibly just for review. If you've got an investigation open into printing misuse or something, this can be enabled just so we can get that raw data, even if only temporary. Okay, so that covers the reporting and archiving part, and one of the new features we like to talk about and show is our AirPrint support. So we've been working with Apple quite closely for a while to provide this functionality, and as Keith said right in the beginning, the mobile devices into the workplace is something we can't avoid. The iOS, the Android, the Windows tablets, and UniPrint's making a big effort to bring those into the sphere of corporate use. So if mobile users using iOS devices, things like that.
Chris, can you change your screen?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Yeah, so if you're mobile users and you want to use your own devices, bring your own device, things like that, then this is one of the key modules. So very simple to set up, and it's just to give you a nice overview. It's brand new to Infinity. I wasn't part of Suite 7 at all. You put this on your print server. You use this little utility here to select the printers you want to be broadcasted out for AirPrint, and they are. As simple as that. The printers now, these ones with the little ticks in, will appear on your iOS devices and be available for printing. The key feature, though, I think is also the integration. So we can use the AirPrint module to broadcast out the VPQ, our secure print queue, and the iOS devices can print to that, and then the users can collect print jobs from the VPAD terminal. So you can integrate the various components into each other. And of course that same goes for the reporting and archiving, so you can also keep the security consistent across the different devices. Okay, so Keith, I'll just pass you back to for the benefit.
Yep, thank you very much. So just a very sort of quick summary of the UniPrint product. It's predominantly a sweet spot is really within the VDI mobile user multi-printer universe in relation to the universal print driver and print stability. As Chris alluded, we can file compression down to 85%, which increases speed and reduces the savings. The new software has simplified the print management for both the IT departments and the user. We've ensured that the printer follows the user wherever the user moves and goes around. We support any make and model of printer, and therefore by doing that we've actually reduced the burden within the IT infrastructure, again because it's very simple, and we can support both 32 and 64-bit environments. So just a quick little bit about UniPrint, just in case you're not aware. Oh, we've gone too far. UniPrint, we're actually now a division of Axio, which is a large Canadian company. We're headquartered out of Toronto. We have the operation in EMEA. We have support within EMEA now as well, based in the UK. We've been around 14, 15 years. We are the leaders within the print solution, predominantly around the Citrix VMware mobile user environment. We operate in a worldwide environment with distribution partners worldwide. We were the first to innovate the PDF-based universal print drive that everybody's now copying, but we're also now the first to expand that and give that true printer management within the virtual world as well as across the universal. And we're really here to solve server-based computing problems. Hopefully you found today of interest, and hopefully it sparked your interest, especially as you're users of older versions of the software. You can see where the software is moving. I will be open with you and say that there are a number of exciting things on the roadmap that are coming through within the next 12 months that the development team in Toronto are working on, just to make this experience a lot more seamless. And again, it's about simplification. It's about making sure that as users, if you make it as simple as possible, people don't then phone IT. That reduces your costs. But likewise, if you also then control their habits and you control what they're doing, the companies can reduce their cost, and you can save those soft pounds within the background of the business. So on that note, I'd ask if there's any questions. Please let us know. We'll be online for the next minute or two. If there's no questions in any shape or form, I would like to thank you very much for your attendance today. We've had nobody drop out, which is highly unusual. So hopefully we've got the tone right. If you do need to get hold of any of us, that hopefully you've got our contact details, and if not, it is just christopher.hathway@axio.com or keith.joseph@axio.com. And again, I'd like to thank you very much for your time, and hopefully you found it of interest. And we will send this presentation out to everybody. And again, if you do have any questions or you do have any comments, anything both positive and negative is openly and gladly received. And again, I'd like to thank you very much for attending today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.